So guys, in the meantime, if you've made it here, it's because you are the coolest, the best, the wisest, the most unbiased, most genius people in the universe. And that's why you found us here today, is because you belong on this podcast too. And we have to live up to your standards, which are impossibly high. So we applaud you for finding us. You know what I mean?
You got to raise your standards, you know? Yeah. There's too many garbage podcasts out there. Number one, okay, two things. First, okay, I think we're rolling. All right. So first, I think that, oh yes, good boy, Percy, the puppy. Yeah, boy, you want to get in on it for just a minute?
Let him scratch those nails he ain't got.
Oh, you got your nails
He
done.
just got his nails cut.
Oh,
Percy,
goodness.
how you feeling post-nail interview?
How you feeling?
Yeah, you showing a little paw?
How you feeling?
Showing a little paw
Oh, you got a nice pedicure?
Yeah, he did good.
Oh, no, it's a pedicure.
Didn't bite anyone.
Oh, the kisses. Thanks, buddy.
Puppy.
All right. So, number one is, why are we doing a podcast? I get that question a lot, and what's it about? Well, I'd say the first reason is that there's too many people who podcast who have nothing good to say, or are just putting out more of the same kind of commercial trash vibration that's kind of already out there. Not to use Logan Paul as an example, but Logan Paul, you're definitely an example of people just talking about things that nobody really cares about, wants to hear. And you're not really putting out any kind of real value that's improving people's lives. You're just sort of using the gravity of your current status and sort of trying to use that to leverage yourself and make more money. But what are you really saying? Not a lot, right? So I think number one, like, it's important to be putting out like things that are interesting, useful, valuable, right? Not just kind of
filler,
regurgitating the same filler that's already out there, which I think a lot of podcasts are doing. And number two, like actually producing the podcast. I think a lot of people talk about wanting to make the podcast, but not a lot of people actually make the podcast, right?
Yeah.
Like there's kind of a lot of people who are, I mean, in my experience, when I mentioned that we started a podcast, I hear a lot of people say, oh, like, I want to start a podcast, or I'm thinking about doing one. Well, that's the difference, right? You're thinking about doing one or you're doing it, right? And what you realize in anything, right, is that when you start to actually do it, it's a lot more work than you think it's going to be.
Yep.
Right? Like most people idealize making something like a podcast, but when they actually get down to brass taxes, they don't follow through, right? And even ourselves, like we've struggled to follow through.
Yeah, it's been difficult.
Because it's actually a lot harder than you think it's going to be. You start to realize, wow, there's a lot more involved in this, on the production side of things. You have lighting, you have cameras, you have microphones, you have getting all those things connected, you have working on people's schedules, you have technical difficulties with the various technical components of the podcast.
You need the physical space, you need the actual equipment.
Yeah.
You know, you gotta have enough energy to bring to the table to make it worthwhile.
Absolutely.
All these things.
And you want people to be interested in what you're talking about and not just talk about a bunch of boring shit that people are just going to tune out of, right?
Yeah.
Like nobody wants to listen to a bunch of boring nonsense. They want something real and tangible and relatable and funny and positive, you know, and that's another thing is like bringing that energy to the table and like showing up to the podcast prepared and well slept and feeling good and like having something that's good to put out there, not just the same old, right?
Yeah. So, Brendan, in regards to positivity, there's a lot of sketchy stuff going on in the world. There's a lot of things that make us question.
What do you mean, Ben?
I mean, you know, Joe Biden could step his game up. We could have some better leaders. We could have a little bit more of a culture.
Wait, who's Joe Biden?
Yeah, I don't know. Some dude. What was that? Oh, text. Okay.
You got a text message, Benjamin.
Uh-oh. All I'm saying is there's a lot of reasons for people to feel doubtful about the future of our world and a lot of legitimate reasons. But on the other hand, what do you see in this world that brings you hope and positivity?
Theo Vaughn.
Yeah.
When he's getting absolutely grilled by Bobby Lee, telling him that he's got DNA defects, that brings joy to my heart. I don't know about you.
He said,
Someone's going to lighten it up, you know? I think there's too much seriousness right now.
Yeah.
A lot of people try to take themselves too seriously. You know, I feel like life is sort of meant to be more playful. And I think oftentimes we get wrapped in our head about like trying to sculpt our life to this sort of ideal shape that it needs to be without realizing that it's sort of more of the joy is in the ride than in the destination, right?
Well, if we really realize we're all going to die anyways, you know, why freak out about how you're getting there?
How somber. Let's enjoy the journey. You know, let's enjoy that ride. So we've been working hard on our most recent video project, right? Which is taking decorated Yogi and putting him in the gym. Yeah. Your gym routine for 30 days, which has been quite challenging. My shoulder's actually feeling my deltoid. It's feeling a little
tender,
torqued from yesterday being at the Crunch gym. But that's been kind of fun, right? Working on that. I feel like we're making some really good strides in that area.
Yeah, I got Brendan in the gym first time, you know, putting him in the Tampa Zoo, and he's enjoying the spectacle so far. What's the gym experience like for you?
Well, I'm learning how weak I actually am, and I am pretty weak by like gym guys standards. Holy cow, Benjamin, you're just getting mad texts. We're gonna have to put you on airplane mode for next time. Oh, leave it alone. No, let's just leave that. Let's leave that be. Oh, it just keeps coming. You got like a group. You got a group text.
I got more than one. I guess I don't know.
That's all right. I don't think it's gonna be a problem for the recording. For those at home, we're recording on phones, and Benjamin's very popular, so he's getting a lot of texts. That's I find that's a little distracting, but we're gonna correct it for the next one, folks. You stay tuned. Yeah. Okay. So we were talking about producing the video that we are creating, which is a offshoot of the podcast. We're doing sort of multi-weekly, monthly sort of drop videos called Original Stories. And this current one, the first one we're working on, is a story about taking me and my weak sort of skinny fats sort of physique and dropping me into 30 days of Ben's typical workout routines, going to the gym, doing calisthenics, push-ups, pull-ups, squats. What were the 5 you told me that you felt were the most important?
There's arguments here, but I personally believe if you do deadlifts, squats, heavy shoulder press, like standing barbell shoulder press, weighted dips, pull-ups and weighted pull-ups, you can create an incredible and very strong physique with just those 5 movements if you just progress them over time.
All right, one more time quickly.
Deadlifts, squats, pull-ups, dips, shoulder press. 5 movements.
Deadlifts, squats, pull-ups,
dips,
shoulder press. And that's like you think that's like the King 5 pillars.
The King 5.
King 5 pillars.
You do those, you can build an awesome physique.
Okay.
You can progress.
And how many of those have we gone through so far?
Let's see,
with me personally.
We did squats last.
I remember squats
last Monday.
I did my first deadlift.
We've been doing pull-ups for 3. We've been doing pull-ups for 3 weeks now.
I like the hip thrust part of the deadlift.
The hip thrust.
Yeah, that's a good muscle to work.
We've been doing a little bit of dips. That dips is like really what we've done the least. And then deadlifts yesterday. Okay. She really just put me on silent. If you just flip that little switch on top, slide it, it'll turn off all the noise. That little metal switch at the top.
Here?
Yeah. You gotta use your fingernail and kind of dig it.
That's what she said. Oh shit, see now we're having problems, Ben. We're having problems. Okay.
There you go. So that should fix that.
We're gonna just adjust a little. Okay, we're good.
There we go.
And we're back.
No more distractions.
All right. So how many of those have I done?
You've done them all. So you started with pull-ups. We experimented a little bit with some dips along the way. You did a full squat workout last week. and then you did deadlifts and barbell press yesterday. So you've officially touched all 5 of those. So if I died today, you would be able to move forward with your life and eventually become King Kong.
Okay, well, don't die. Let's keep it going for now.
Yep.
And right. So yeah, after we do this, we're gonna compile it into a 10-minute video, right? Where we're gonna show all the process of what I've been going through. We're gonna show me suffering and failing and looking weak and all the stuff that comes with trying something new. And that's the thing, when you start something new, you got to be willing to be kind of sucky for a while.
Yeah.
And like, I think a lot of people don't have the humility or the patience to just suck at something for a little while, right?
Yeah.
Like, a lot of people think that they're just going to pick up a guitar and be Jimi Hendrix. But truth is, you got to suck for a while. And that's actually part of the joy, I think, of doing something new and getting good at something, is that, part of it is actually sucking for a while on purpose. And that's kind of what you want to do. It's part of
it's fun to see your progression, And
it's part of gaining humility in a new skill, right? It teaches you to like be realistic about whether or not you're great at something or not. Like it forces you, I don't know, being humble is an important thing, right? Like it's important to be humble. And it's like, it reminds me of when my hair used to be down my back. My hair used to be like your hair. And there's a portion where you're growing your hair where you're kind of like, you just look like a bum. You just look like Shaggy from Scooby-Doo, and you kind of get no respect from anybody, right? Like not your peers, not the opposite sex, nobody. You look like a bum, and you just kind of look like a Shaggy, doesn't give a shit about himself person.
Yeah.
And it's like, you kind of have to go through that phase, and it's like the humility phase of growing your hair out. When you're short and you're looking good, and you're kind of dialed and styly and clean. You get that respect from your other people. And when your hair is like long, you kind of also get that respect because it takes a long time to get it there.
Yeah.
You're kind of that long hair, free spirited sort of person. And it took a long time to get there. It took 9 months to a year, which means for the in between, for 6 months, you just look like a fucking bum and nobody cares about you.
And it's funny because it's like nobody during the process, nobody respects you during the process because you're looking shaggy, like he's saying. But then when the process is over, people respect that you went through the process where no one respects you.
And you get double the respect.
You get double the respect. And it's so funny because it's like the exact thing that you get almost shamed for is what you ultimately get rewarded for. They're like, I never have the courage or the balls to go through that phase. So I can never do it. So dude, mad respect to that. While they're in it, they're laughing at you, or whatever. They're just kind of looking down on the whole thing. But afterwards, they're like, man, you went through that shit. And then you get the respect. But you have to complete it. Yeah. You have to complete it.
Yeah. And if you bail, and that's a great point. Like if you bail and you go back to the short hair, well, then you just went through the suffering for nothing.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what this workout project is.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm in the part where my hair is mid-length. I'm mid-length hair right now. I'm Shaggy from Scooby-Doo. And I look like an idiot. I can do 3 pull-ups, 4 pull-ups at a time. I can do
trying to do a handstand push-up.
I can do 3 handstand push-ups. I'm Shaggy from Scooby-Doo, and
he can't do 3 handstand push-ups.
Although the Asian lady at the fitness center gave me mad respect, I knew that it was just sort of a sympathy thing. It was she was donating. There wasn't any genuineness to her admiration because I'm clearly quite weak.
So let's talk about why we're doing this for multiple reasons. One, this is just a goal for Brendan that he has wanted to do, but a lot of times when you want to do something new, you need someone else that's kind of been there just to kick you in the pants just enough for you to keep going on your own. So he had the opportunity to do it, and he took the opportunity. But 2, why are we showing people this? That's the important question. That's what's relevant. We're showing it because me and Brendan are everyday people that in different ways have already challenged ourselves, but we're still in a lot of ways at the starting gate where everyone else in the world is. And we're okay, look at us. We've done some things, but there's many things we haven't done. We're going to throw ourselves back into the pit and watch our evolution because you can do the exact same thing. And that's kind of the point of showing people. And that's what gets a response is everyone will recognize within themselves, oh, I can do it. And at the end of the day, it's not that hard and it's not that bad. Like, you know, like, why are you showing people?
You know, so two things are coming to mind for me. The first is that, like, I'm also seeing that this is being kind of a challenge for you because you're having, you know, they say when one teaches to learn, right? And that's basically saying that, like, when you're teaching, you're forced to rethink about, you know, how you do things because you have to deliver it in a packaged way, which means it needs to be accurate, right? When you're passing it forward. And so, like, you're simultaneously having to, like, challenge yourself and, like, keep trying to hit your own goals in terms of fitness.
Yeah.
But also be able to, like, teach me and be on top of things.
Yeah.
And be on top of the camera and recording and making sure that's positioned right. Because I can't record myself. And, like, although I have a little bit more progress and experience in recording, and not that much, but a little bit more, like, I'm the subject most of the time that's being recorded, which means you need to simultaneously be training me, which is, like, something you're just getting recursions in, pushing yourself in your own limits in your own fitness, and doing the recording simultaneously, right? So it's actually all three things, which is quite a bit, right?
Yeah.
So just to cut to the side, you know, I know this is kind of sort of not that interesting and engaging. I mean, sure, for some it is, but I gotta say, it's been fun for me going to the gym for the first time. If we can talk about some of the more, like, humanistic and personalized stuff that's going on. Like, I got, you know, for one of the funniest things that I noticed personally at the gym is how many women go to the gym just to be noticed. And maybe I'm seeing this the wrong way, but it seems to me that a lot of women go to the gym just to be noticed.
They just want to strut their stuff.
And, like, I really see it. It's like they got their radar up, and, like, it reminds me of, like, taking a trip to the zoo and, like, taking a stroll past, like, the silverback gorilla, you know, cage, and just seeing, like, the female gorillas kind of, like, putting themselves out there, like, you know, making themselves available, standing by the reed grass, and, like, it's really funny. I know that there's a lot of women there who are there to work out, but you really get the feeling, and this is coming from someone who's really new, right, to coming to the gym.
Yeah.
Like, I really get the sense that a lot of the women there are just there to want to be seen and to sort of get that validation and attention. Has that been your experience, Benjamin, as far as you know, the time you spent in the gym?
Mostly it's I've become numb to it, so it's hard for me to have a fresh lens on it. It's just like, I don't know, they're just doing whatever they do. So yes, overall, because it's like, okay, look, why else would they be wearing what they're wearing, doing the exercises that they're doing in the location that they're doing them? Like, they go to the highest, most obvious spot, most surrounded by people, with the smallest amount of clothing on, and do the most egregious exercises.
I mean, like, those Lululemons are grabbing that pussy fat. Like, let's be honest. I'm
just hanging on tight.
I don't mean to be egregious in my statement, but it really, I mean, yeah.
So if you just look at it
every
objectively,
year it just gets tighter and tighter.
If you look at it objectively, yes, like a lot of it is for the attention, the show, the validation, the joy of, you know, adoration. And then the I think, honestly, like, not to be too,
because women love attention.
They enjoy attention. The superior.
It's okay to say that.
They do.
I think it's okay to say
any
that.
woman will tell you that.
Yeah.
Someone I was talking to last night told me that.
I think it's a universally understood thing.
Yeah, women love attention. It's like feeds them, you know. And but I think also on the almost negative side, like, I think some women feel a sense of, like, superiority because they're like, yeah, look at this, everyone wants me, and, like, how dare you look at me, though?
It's a little, like, female ego.
They go in there, they prance, they wear the, you know, basically their underwear, they prance around.
You think it's a bit of a competition?
It's
like,
also
between the other women,
I think so,
to sort of be, like, the prized.
I think so.
Like, but, the, like, prized woman in the gym.
But, like, they go there and they do all this stuff to where it's like they're a beacon of, like, of course you're gonna, the human eye, the man is gonna look, and then they're like, how dare you look at me? I don't know, you inferior, lowly being. Like, how come you can't just focus on yourself? Like, you're gross. Why are you looking at me? As they're, like, going like this, and it's like, I just think they get some sort of sick satisfaction out of the whole thing.
Yeah, it's a bit of a power thing, right?
Power thing.
It's a power dynamic.
They're trying to run a power
Who's selling to who, right? Who's the buyer and who's the seller kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Because someone's always buying and someone's always selling. And like,
obviously
everybody wants to be the seller.
In some level, they're looking for their dude. Not always, but some part of them is open to the right guy meeting them there.
There's a radar.
Yeah. But there's a whole lot of things going on. It's just funny to witness the whole thing.
It is a bit of a spectacle.
There's a lot going on with it. There's a lot of nuance.
I did see last time we went and we were at the gym that there seemed to be some, and I'll call it, I don't know if it was conscious, I don't know if it was subconscious, but there was clearly like some demonstrating going on where it was like things were obviously being sort of demonstrated to us. Yeah, it was being put in our field of vision. It was being put in our proximity.
Yeah.
And I think about what you said, right? As far as like some women almost get upset that guys notice them physically.
Yeah.
But it's like, let's be real. Like men are visually driven. Yeah. And that's just the way it is. Yeah. We're hunters. We're visually driven. And expecting a man not to notice a woman physically is like expecting a woman not to like take attention when there's like this bolsterous, hilarious, loud, obnoxious guy in the room. You know what I'm saying? Like,
you're
gonna notice and you're gonna pay attention to him.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's not a reason to get upset about.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Natural.
Like if you're with your girlfriend or your wife and there's a guy at the place you're at and he's like, there's a guy and he's super funny and he's like being cocky and obnoxious and making a ton of noise, and frankly being really funny. Like you shouldn't be upset. Like if your girl's interested.
Yeah.
Or like not interested, but
just like
noticing and paying attention.
Yeah.
Because that's what drives women, is that good emotion, right? Yeah. Just like the visual drives men. So I think in a way you're actually, if you're in a couple sort of relationship, you're better off just sort of like letting it be. Yeah. And just kind of like accepting it as like sort of the natural disposition of the various sexes. It's not personal. Don't take it personal. Yeah. Because that's just what drives people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Something like that.
You can point it out and just enjoy the show a little bit and not get too hung up on it.
Yeah.
It's like, she's cute or he's funny or whatever. It's like, he is.
Right. Right. You don't have to take it personally. Yeah. Right. Like if your man, is eyeballing a girl who's physically attractive in the room, he's just checking it out. Doesn't mean he's going to pursue it. Right. That's just, it's just comparative. And in some cases that means he's going to appreciate you more because he's like, oh yeah, like that's there, but I like what I've got. Yeah. Yeah. I think sometimes that gets lost in the mix a little bit. There's too much like jealousy surrounding these things, but
insecurity,
when you understand it in its totality, right, then it kind of makes sense.
Kind of.
So I heard okay. Yeah, we're fine.
All good.
We heard a noise, so we had to just double check. We're kind of just getting used to our new technical setup. And we feel like we're working the bugs out. We're already 100% better. I mean, for this episode, right, we've improved the microphones. We have 2 working mics now. Thank God for that. And then we have improved lighting. And I think that's going to be visible to our viewers as well. And we're also using a new editing technique to try to cut things together.
Yep.
So even though we've only put out 3-4 total podcasts so far. Yeah. And we've actually made the administrative choice to like omit a couple because we weren't super thrilled about the quality of what we were bringing to the table, that we decided we're going to kind of wait and re-release those later on. But even only going through 4 podcasts, like the amount of growth that's been happening behind the cameras and behind the scene in terms of our scheduling, in terms of our technical setup, in terms of our lighting, in terms of our cameras, in terms of our editing, in terms of the way we actually put together the actual discourse of the conversation and what we're talking about and how we want to approach actually bringing substance to the audience, right? Like all these things, we've actually grown like 90%
we've got
on all those things, even though the viewer has only seen a couple things being released in front of the camera. Yeah. Right.
So let's jump into bringing value to people. Let's say you're in charge of everything. What one rule would you make if everyone had to follow one rule you created? What rule would you create for the world?
Like I'm the king of the world.
Like you're king of the world. You make a decree. Like you create something you believe is going to positively.
I'm the king of Saudi Arabia, and I could just put in Sharia law when I want, and just.
What do you believe would most benefit everyone if they did every day?
They have to do it every day.
Every day.
Every single day.
Yeah.
By law?
By law.
Oh man, I'd go with 10 minutes of meditation. Yeah.
So just silence by yourself, no distractions.
We have biometric markers on you. We can tell if you did it, and if you don't, you get pushed through a gigantic cheese grater.
You get exiled for 20 minutes a day into a little cell where you're forced to meditate.
I like mine better. No. It's got to be serious. It's got to be like it's like stealing in Saudi Arabia.
Okay.
You steal and your hand gets chopped off.
Well, guys, let's not let Brendan rule the world.
Cheese grater. Put him in the cheese grater. Cheese grate him to death. I got to tell you though,
don't vote for Brendan 2028.
Couple people get cheese grated. You're going to see people meditating real quick. Yeah.
Park benches. At the restaurant.
Everywhere. Nobody wants that cheese grater treatment. I certainly do not. Only takes a few to really let people know how serious this meditation thing is.
Honestly, a good response. Of all the things, if everyone just sat with silence, I think it would just teach them a little bit more about non-reactivity, like not immediately just firing off whenever a life situation presents itself, whether it's traffic or whether it's things went wrong or someone wrongs you. Just that little bit of gap between thing happens, you respond to it. If everyone had a little bit more of that, it would probably decrease a lot of violence. It would decrease a lot of poor decisions. It would decrease a lot of things. On top of all the other positive benefits it would have. So I think that's a great answer.
What about you? Would you do something serious like I just chose? Or would you choose something more like funny? Like everybody has to wear like one of those like tubes that like a cone that they put on dogs after it gets a surgery so it can't like lick its own balls.
I don't want people to hate me.
Everyone must wear a cone. Like, would you do something funny like that? Just because you can't be dethroned from your power, so you have unlimited authority.
I would make everyone write a paragraph about the life they wanted every day.
Every day?
You have to write a paragraph.
Every day you got to write a paragraph about the life you want.
Yep.
Some people might get really depressed by that. Like if they're not achieving it.
Good.
It's just like it would create this like some people might be in
a lot of angst.
Like I'm reminded of the phrase like may the space between where you are and where you want to be inspire you. But I think some people might see the space between where they are and where they want to be and feel really depressed by it.
Yeah, that's probably true.
Because it seems like just so far, like there's just no way to create that bridge and lay that pavement between A and B. And I think for some people, that's the reality. So I don't know. That could be
really,
could potentially have unwanted consequences.
So someone asked me yesterday, they said, how would I inspire someone that thinks they can't do something? And my response was, I wouldn't, because if someone's in the frame of mind where they aren't willing to change, that I am not going to try to change them. I will just let them sit in their pain long enough until they become very hungry for the change and believe that it's possible. And then I would work with them. So sometimes we have to sit in our kind of pit of despair for a bit and really start to hunger after a new result before we're going to take ourselves to it.
But the world doesn't need more despair, Benjamin. Don't you? We need to be positive, folks. We need to keep it positive out here.
Okay, so if I was answering the question seriously, similar to your meditation, I would say that I would just ask everyone to move for 10 minutes a day.
Okay, I changed my mind. I want to put a dog cone on everyone's head. That's just more fun. That's just more fun to me.
Do not hire this man for emperor.
That's just more fun. You don't get to hire an emperor. I am the emperor. So I have unlimited authority to make these decisions. And, maybe I'll change my mind. Maybe after a month of cone, I just decide
everyone's got to eat ice cream cone.
Everyone, needs a flower that squirts water on their lapel. Like, maybe that's just what the world needs right now. It's just a little too much seriousness going around. And I think people should just lighten up a little bit, keep it a little.
How do you think we could, how do you think the world could in a fun way resolve conflicts like country versus country? Like say like you go back to Cold War times, it's like America.
Oh, no brainer. This is an easy answer. And I mean, Troy, the movie Troy.
Yeah.
That's it. You give us your best warrior. We take our best warrior. You guys go out, you fight to the death. Winner takes all.
See, I was thinking like a snowball fight.
Yeah, no.
Like 1,000 versus 1,000, like snowball fight, like country versus country.
Yeah.
Like a little bit of aggression, but you can't really hurt them too bad. And
yeah, but there's always going to be some bad apples. You're going to put like little ice chunks or like chunks of metal inside those snowballs.
Glass in them.
Yeah, there's going to be some cheater in there.
Yeah, but I'm just saying in general, like what if countries could do like what if if countries were angry at each other, we could all just go fight each other with pool noodles. And just like kind of get the tension out, but not really hurt anyone. Like, like what if there's a way we could set it up? It was like you could have some conflict, but you could also look each other in the eye and kind of laugh at the end of it, and not walk away with like a missing eye and like 80 million of your people dead.
Yeah, I don't know. There's too much conflict in the world. Let's resolve to not have conflict. Let's talk about. I'm gonna shift it. I'm gonna shift gears because I think that's a direction that I don't want to go right now. And so what's up with smartwatches? Would you ever wear a smartwatch? I feel like everybody has a smartwatch. Like so, I go to the gym, I go to my yoga studio, and everybody's got a smartwatch, and I don't wear a smartwatch. And I'm thinking to myself, like, these people, are like freaking out about like the radio waves like coming off their phone. And like you see people like afraid to wear like earbuds because of like the EMF radiation, right? Or whatever. Yeah. But then you got like another, like, why do we need 70 million smart devices? I know for a fact you all got a smartwatch and you don't do anything with it except monitor your sleep. That's it. That's all. That is literally all I hear anybody.
Or their steps.
Anybody. Like you paid hundreds of dollars for a smartwatch. Like really, what the fuck are we doing with these things? Yeah. What is anybody doing with these things?
You know how inconvenient it is to try to text on a smartwatch?
Yeah, we're not sitting here like Dick Tracy talking into our wristwatch on the radio. Like,
all right, you asked me a question, let me take it. So, no, I wouldn't. The first product I ever dreamed of inventing was when I was 18, and it wasn't a smartwatch, but it was just a little band you would wear that had the capacity to vibrate, and it would be your alarm. So that instead of waking up to an annoying noise, you could just wake up to a gradually increasing pulse on your wrist that would eventually just wake you up without like really annoying you.
Huh.
I never invented it. I don't even know if I've seen one that is what I'm thinking, because what I'm thinking is very, very minimal. No like real tech to it, just an alarm. That'd be like the most I would do. And Alex Hormozy or Chris Williamson, Alex Hormozy was talking about that he got a smartwatch and he was like monitoring his sleep, and then he just started getting stressed out about the fact that he was monitoring his sleep and his sleep went way down. And at the end of the day, we pretty much just know if we slept good or not. And you can just look at your day and be like, I walked a lot today or I didn't. Like, you don't need a watch to tell you what you already know. So
I think most people,
I would not do it.
Yeah. There's so many people who have them, and most people don't really do anything with them. I feel like it's become like a status symbol just to like wear these watches. But
it's a bad buy.
But like, what are they doing really? I did hear of one situation which was really interesting. Okay. And this guy basically, he started out like depressed and obese, and he got every single monitoring thing you can get, every biometric reader, every data thing you can possibly get for monitoring your body.
Yeah.
Everything. Like he got everything. You can look this guy up. He's crazy how he did this. And he started monitoring every part of his day.
Okay.
When he gets hungry, when he sleeps, when he's productive, when he watches TV. Like really got data on every single part of his life.
Okay.
And he started to leverage that data and do things at certain times, right? He was like, oh, I notice when I do this, I always do that. So if I want to remove this, then I pull this part out here, and started like really leveraging that data. Within 6 months, lost all the weight, completely turned around his mental health, like literally 180'd his entire life by monitoring every single part of his day, his routine, his biology, hormones, urination, everything, like everything you can monitor, and actually used it successfully. And now he basically teaches people how to do that. And you can see his before and after.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's a classic like before after kind of story where it's like internet gold of like, wow, they did it.
Yeah.
And like, it's really interesting.
So he really just stuck to the principle of what gets measured gets improved.
Pretty much. Yeah. I mean, he went, it's interesting to read his story, and I encourage people to actually look it up. I don't know his name, unfortunately, but if you look it up, you can look up like the most like monitored guy or whatever. I don't know the correct Google phrase to be using, right, to explain this, but you can find him easily. There's only one guy like it who monitors all of his stuff and did a 180 with it. Really interesting story to listen to. So I don't know. I mean,
what you're saying is there's something to be said for that, but most people aren't really utilizing it the way it's intended, and it's just like they're just doing it because it's a fad.
Kind of, yeah. It's like a fashion statement. Yeah. Like everybody else has got one, so I have to have one too. Yeah. And kudos to Apple for your kick-ass marketing. Like you guys
sold it.
The marketing team at Apple's doing a great job, and I'm happy to admit that because I see it in action. I see it's working. And I see people are really buying the shit that,
So what's the best technological investment you've ever made?
Technological investment?
Yeah. What's the most bang for your buck thing you've ever gotten for yourself?
As a technology?
It could be a computer. It could be headphones. It could be a watch. It could be a sleep device. It could be anything.
I think dollar for dollar.
Yeah.
I would actually say it's between, for me most recently, dollar for dollar, it would be the DJI Osmo gimbal that I purchased, which is a gimbal for your phone. It's a stabilization device and tripod for your phone that includes AI-driven tracking, so it can track a subject in the shot. I think that dollar for dollar is...
for what, $170?
Superb value. Absolutely superb value. And outside of that, I would actually go with Raycon earbuds.
Yeah.
Raycon earbuds. I have the fitness earbuds.
Yeah.
Dollar for dollar, the best earbuds I've ever owned. Better than Apple by far. Same sound quality or better than Apple. Okay, I'd say the volume just goes down maybe like, you probably get 95% of the volume that you get out of an Apple device. But the sound quality, just as good, if not a little cleaner even. The battery life is more than 2 times that of Apple AirPods. I've had Sony earbuds, also good battery life, but very tinny sound, blew out quickly. Like dollar for dollar, there is no better earbud out there, period, than the Raycons that I've ever owned. Durability, the charging is really good, really fast. And the thing I love the most about it is you get an entire day's worth of listening on. And this is not a promotion, just to be clear. We are not being paid to advertise this product, but Raycon, we could use some sponsorship. So call me. And so
call him on his Bluetooth headphones.
Call me on my Bluetooth headphone and I'll talk to you in the 5 radial directional microphones built in to the fitness earpod. But no, really, it's a great product and I have no problem talking about it because it really is awesome. It also has multi-point connectivity, which means I can connect to my desktop and my phone at the same time. Okay, so if I have a business meeting on my desktop, I can take that business meeting. As soon as I hang up, my phone rings. I can go straight on and I never have to take them out or reconnect or disconnect.
Yeah, that's dope.
Believe it or not, as somebody who lives in their office a lot, that is a fantastic feature and saves a lot of time and headache. Like I used to have with my previous AirBuds are next week. AirBuds, I would have to literally, it'd be like a 30-second sequence every time I wanted to disconnect from one device and reconnect to the other. And you do that, whatever, 5, 6, 7 times a day over the course of a week, 35 times, that's 20 minutes every week I'm just using to disconnect and reconnect.
Yeah, those things add up.
Like, you're just burning clock on life, and let's be honest, that's so silly. And what about you, sir? Give me a tech item that you've purchased that's been really paid its dividends in value. And Raycon, we could totally use a sponsorship, so call us.
Yeah, easy answer is you've turned me on to the Raycons, and I've got everything you've got to say about them, and the fact that I can't shake them out of my head, which is like the number one thing I look for in headphones. Like if they don't come out no matter what I'm doing, then that pretty much like wins me.
Because you're so active.
Yeah. Like I was running with over-ear Sony headphones for like 3 years with the hat on over them, like pushed in tight. That was like the only thing I could do to listen to music, but then that had to have a cord and all that crap. So that would be up there for me as well. Aside from that,
what's the feature? If you could add one feature to the Raycon AirPods, what would you add to them?
I would figure out a way to make them unlosable.
So like like a chirp, like a signaling chirp. So if you lose one of these finite micro pods, and I'm sure it's not good for their sales.
Yeah.
But if you lose one, having like an alert system where you can easily locate
a tracker, or it makes a sound, or even like some sort of, even a miniature thing you could have on your person, somewhere where like you could always put them there. Some sort of extra device that like were built for that, so that if you needed to ever put them down, you had an exact place to put them without having to have a case. Something where I was guaranteed basically not to lose them. That would be like the if they could figure that out, then that'd be the number one feature I would like.
That would be dope. I would personally love that feature if it had like a location. Like you just press a button and it just starts to like audibly beep so you can find it.
Yeah. Even if they're not turned on or
like
whatever.
It rolls underneath the couch and you just can't locate it.
Yeah.
Like I think that would be a great.
That'd be a game changer.
That'd be a great feature. And hopefully someone at Raycon sees this. We'll tag you guys, and hopefully somebody sees this and they're willing.
Sends us the prototype.
You're willing to
send us the prototype.
Actually, yeah. While we're at it, since we're giving you this awesome free promotion, Raycon, I noticed that you have a new durable set made of a carbon fiber framing. If you could send us some of those trial pairs, we would be more than happy to demo them for you.
More than happy.
So Raycon, winning.
Raycon, definitely.
Dollar for dollar.
Yeah.
Good tech.
Yeah.
Good customer
Good
service.
sound.
I've been overwhelmingly happy with that company.
Yeah.
It's just surprisingly.
Yeah.
And it's like almost nobody's heard of them.
Yeah.
All organic marketing through like podcasts and through influencers, and like they don't really do a lot of traditional advertising.
Yeah.
It's all kind of word of mouth advertising.
Which is impressive.
Which is very impressive. Yeah. Did you ever get involved in any like what do they call that? Like multi-level marketing, like door-to-door kind of like.
Kinda.
It's almost like a pyramid scheme for selling products.
Yeah,
like
kinda.
you ever get involved in one of those?
Yeah.
What did you do? What did you sell?
Well, like to take a step back, like.
What do they call that? Is that MLM?
They call it MLM. You know, the funny thing is that direct sales and multi-level marketing is a big industry with so many incredible products. Like first thing that comes to mind is like Purium, that health product we were talking about. Like they make greens and stuff like that. It's honestly a genius system in my opinion. Like you word to word, like you put out a product and then you give people incentive to share it, and then people share it because they love it and they get paid for it. Like it's people telling other people that trust them and know them about a product. Like how, like every business comes down to marketing, and I think it's a great way to market something. And if you look at a pyramid scheme, they're illegal. Like they get shut down, they can't exist, they can't. And so there's all these businesses out there and products that to me are legit, but immediately get categorized as a pyramid scheme. And what that does in the consumer eye is immediately discredit it. And so
I think everything's a pyramid scheme.
No, well, I mean
everything.
No,
going to
college
is a pyramid scheme, and universities.
So yes,
The fiat dollar is a pyramid scheme. Bitcoin's a pyramid scheme. Everything's a pyramid scheme when you get down to it.
But there's the mass cultural perception of pyramid scheme, and then there's the reality of pyramid scheme. So the mass cultural perception of pyramid scheme is person at top rips off everyone and gets all the money, while person at bottom gets nothing. That's what pyramid scheme means, basically. Is like,
see, I think that's college.
Scam. Yeah, which I can agree with you. Scam, fake products, lies, deception, yada, yada. But in reality, the structure is just person that got in first provides the most value, gets kickback long-term for helping other people find that thing. Like, that's the structure of a pyramid, is like, the more value you put in, the longer you were in, the more people you helped, the more you get rewarded. And the connotation is that it's bad and illegal and a scam, but the reality is that's how life works. Like, if you invest first, if you do something first, if you bring other people in that also are able to do something with it, you get rewarded for it. And that's the structure that makes sense, but there's all this connotation. So it's like pyramid structure, everything has it. Pyramid scheme, there's not that many of them out there, really.
So in a real pyramid scheme, you're saying there's a Bernie Madoff. There's a Bernie Madoff that walks off with everything at one point. He has an exit door prepared.
Yes.
Maybe that's it. That's what differentiates a pyramid scheme from like a pyramid structure.
Is there's an elite little group at the top that walks
door,
away.
They already have a door prepared to leave at some, and you don't know that.
Yeah.
But they have a door and they're ready to exit at some point.
Yeah.
Versus the U.S. dollar, a pyramid scheme. Do you think they have a door?
You probably know more than me. I don't know.
Do you think the Fed just has a door and they're just waiting to collapse our dollar like they did in like so many other countries?
I don't know.
Wouldn't surprise me. Like, it wouldn't surprise me. And speaking of Purium, it's funny you mentioned that, because I actually contacted Troy Casey, okay, the certified health nut. If you know him, check him out. He knows a little bit about some health stuff. And I actually contacted him via Twitter and asked if we could be Purium distributors. And he said, yeah, here's the number. He hit me back and he gave me the number to call. So pretty soon we're actually going to be Purium distributors.
Pyramid schemers right here.
Yeah, we are pyramid schemers. Yeah.
Scheming it up.
And so Troy Casey, he just did Iboga. Yeah. Right? Which is super interesting as well.
Yeah, you know more about it than I do. What's the gist on Iboga?
So Troy Casey's interesting because he does both health stuff and he does plant medicine stuff. And a lot of that's in my wheelhouse. Yeah. And he's doing both Iboga and more ayahuasca this year, which is interesting. He's stacking them both in the same year. And I give credit where credit's due, because that's a lot for 1 year. And yeah, he went to this center in Mexico. The name is escaping me off the top of my head, but he went to a center in Mexico. It's the same center where Jordan Belfort went, who's the character The Wolf of Wall Street was based on. Yeah. Okay. And he got over his opiate addiction by going... I
met Jordan Belfort and his wife. They're pretty cool.
And it's interesting you say that, because my brother-in-law has also met Jordan Belfort recently. Okay. And one of my mentors also is friends with Jordan Belfort. So it's like he's been popping up here and there. Yeah. It's been interesting to see this. But getting back to the subject here in the story. So Troy Casey went to this Iboga center. And for those who are just like sort of learning, Iboga is a bark that comes from a plant that's grown in Africa. And you eat this bark and it gives you this sort of psychedelic experience that helps you introspect and learn about the experiences and memories and traumas and things you've gone through that shape who you are and why you make the decisions that you make. A lot of people lose addictions to things after going through the process. Like, they realize, okay, I understand now why I was smoking. Right. And the things that were subconscious drivers of decision makers become conscious, and they no longer control that person anymore. And so they don't need or choose to have those addictions any longer. So a lot of people kick alcohol or opiates or tobacco or, just impulsivity towards certain things by going through this process.
When you hear the word psychedelic, if you're completely have not touch the psychedelic, barely even dive into the world of it, if it's new to you, how would you define, what is psychedelic? Like, what does that mean? Because like, if I don't know anything and I'm thinking of psychedelic, I think of just this like kind of weird loopy experience, like a dream kind of shrouded in mist, like some, ethereal weird thing. What is a psychedelic?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't personally done iboga, so I can't speak directly to that experience, but I've certainly done other things that are in sort of the plant medicine fold, and it's a little like being in an altered reality. It's a little like dreaming awake. It's almost like, I think to somebody, most people have probably drank on some level, right? So it's almost like drinking where you get a little tipsy and your reality starts to get a little bit kind of, shaky. Morphable almost,
Yeah.
but without losing your comprehension and kind of slurring your speech and like kind of some of the things that would come with that reality.
Yeah.
I think that's sort of a good way to articulate it, but even that I don't think
There's more
quite
to it,
captures it.
Yeah.
But, like drinking, psychedelics have sort of their own personality.
Yeah.
And each psychedelic kind of has its own personality.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Right. So like, for example, with iboga, it's been described to me as almost a stern father that's going to kind of tell you what you need to hear, even though you may not necessarily want to hear it, but you know that you need to hear it and they're right.
Yeah.
And I've heard, ayahuasca described as like a grandmother, as like a nurturing mom or grandmother.
Percy just
a very maternal sort of, well, thank you for sharing that with our audience. With sort of I'm like, is he just lying? Yeah, sure he did. So yeah, the ayahuasca, it's more of a kind of motherly, maternal, sort of caring, nurturing sort of personality.
Yeah.
How would you describe the personality of alcohol?
Fast and loose.
Yeah, almost like a
F it, do
like
what
a
you want.
circus jester
It's
or
just
something.
like, you know what,
or
nothing really matters, so I'm gonna just send it.
Yeah, but like if you personified that, like almost like like a class clown almost.
Yeah, I would say like an irresponsible, like energetic teenager that has a little bit of a rebellious streak.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So that's kind of the personality of alcohol, right? And so each psychedelic almost has its own personality. And whether
what would be the personality of a mushroom?
I see, for me, in my experience, that tends to be, to me, mushrooms are a little like you're sitting down, and I'm talking about doing it in a ceremonial way.
Yeah.
If you're using them recreationally and you're just kind of goofing off and you want to like go to the zoo and watch things morph and transform or whatever, like that's one thing. But if we're talking ceremonially, I find that mushrooms are extremely wise, and that it's almost like sitting down and having a conversation with Yoda. You know what I mean? Like you're sitting down and you're like,
oh
yeah, like you're having this conversation with this extremely wise personality that is more intelligent, more wise than you are.
It's like detached. It can kind of give you a metaphor. It can challenge you. It can like speak straight to a thing, all while kind of opening your mind and making you believe in things you didn't think were possible.
Yeah.
I like that metaphor.
Yeah, it's like talking to Yoda.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. Take the mushrooms, you must. Tell your secrets, I will. Improve your life. Yes. Yeah, absolutely. It's the most alien. Like, some, like, for example, like peyote, very terrestrial, very earth energy. Ayahuasca, same thing. It's all about the rainforest and the earth and sustainability and very earthy, grounded personality.
I've heard arguments that psychedelics are just like more advanced, almost plant weaponry for their own survival, and that they basically try to speak to us to tell us to keep them going. What's your thought on that?
Yeah,
have you heard of something like that?
Yeah,
that's like roughly kind of something I've heard.
Yeah, there was a book written on that subject. I'm trying to remember what it's called. It's like the botany of something.
I don't remember, but it's kind of like Like, oh yeah,
Yeah,
of course,
so the
ayahuasca
yeah.
is going to tell you to take care of the rainforest. 'Cause
Yeah,
that's how
exactly.
That's where ayahuasca comes from, and it doesn't want to die.
Yeah, the whole premise of the book is that these plants are actually farming us in order to keep themselves going.
Exactly.
And it's actually, we think we're farming them, but they're actually farming us to keep themselves self-sustaining.
Yeah.
Terence McKenna, it may have been Terence McKenna, I may be falsely attributing this, but there was someone, and it may have been Terence, who said that these basically these plant medicines, these psychedelics, are metaphorically the neurotransmitters of what our brains are for the planet, right? They're used to signal messaging from the earth itself through up into human beings, the same way that your neurotransmitters, your dopamine, your serotonin, is sending neurological signals throughout the body, telling it what it needs to do. Similarly, these different plant medicines and alkaloids are actually signaling on behalf of the earth and behaving almost like neurotransmitters for the planet. I thought that was a really interesting perspective.
Is that why when you see all these like chicks on Instagram posting like spiritual stuff, you see all these pictures of them like kind of like halfway, like the chick herself is like halfway a plant herself, kind of like it's almost like they're transforming that plant spirit into reality almost. I'm trying to think of the right way to say it. It's like like when I see women on Instagram or like spiritual chicks, it's like they're embodying like the astral plane, and they're embodying the jungle plane or the spirits of these medicines, because it's like they're an instrument or a voice for them almost, and they're trying to bring that frequency or life into like this reality. I'm probably getting a little airy-fairy, but
kind of airy-fairy.
Okay. I think there's something there. If I could articulate it better, then we can move on.
Some wook science going on there.
No, definitely.
Wook science, yeah.
But I like to think.
Yeah.
I like to extrapolate. Anyways.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, I think for now, maybe we'll just wrap this up. I think we've gotten through some good stuff here. Mainly I think we're just anchoring another episode, and I think that's fantastic. We finally got a little more of our technical stuff kind of dialed.
Yeah.
I think things are moving in the right direction. I think, if hopefully we'll be Purium distributors soon. I'm looking forward to that. It's a line of products that I've actually been interested in trying. And maybe we can even get Troy Casey on this podcast some point.
Join the pyramid.
He might be into it. And
do it for Egypt.
Do it for Egypt. They just keep finding new chambers. Like, it's like, don't they though? Like, it's just hide and go seek for fucking, like, maybe these pharaohs were just like, let's just make like a maze and just like keep
just the F of people.
There's just a never ending maze.
Just like, the F of people.
Yeah. Like, they're just trolling us in the future. Like, that would be hilarious.
We go back in time and we're like, so why did y'all actually build the pyramids? And they're like, just to try to make people figure out why we built the pyramids.
Yeah, we just wanted to troll you for a couple hundred years. Well, it's working really well because they just keep finding a new chamber. Like every 5 years, there's another news story. They found a new chamber in this pyramid that they've apparently been looking through for hundreds of years. It doesn't make any sense to me, but I think if I get really rich, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to have a giant pyramid built, and I'm just going to fill it with like random Easter eggs. Like there's just random rooms all over it. And every few years they just discover a new one, and it's got something else funny in it. You know, they open up a sarcophagus and it's just like a blow up doll or something, you know, leave some scratch in their head.
Keep them guessing.
All right. Well, I think that's it for today. Anything else you want to throw in? Please like and subscribe. Don't hit that bell. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, ring that bell. Tell your grandma. That's what we want you to do.
Mm-hmm. And listen to your grandma too. Especially if your grandma's named Ayahuasca.
Yeah. If your grandma's named Ayahuasca.
Then do what she tells you.
Or at least could give it some consideration.
Yeah. But don't do everything she tells you. It'd be sus. If you're listening to this, it's because you're a genius and you found the best podcast on the planet and you knew that. And we love you. So
How many episodes are we going to do this year? How many, let's call it right now. How many episodes are we doing this year?
I personally think we should be doing 2 a week every week. So if we got 40 weeks left, let's say.
I was going to say at least 100.
It's 100.
I think 100.
Yeah.
I think that's a good goal.
And by the 100th, we'll be pretty good.
Yeah.
Be pretty good.
We shouldn't be getting text messages from our mom during the middle of our podcast anymore.
Yeah.
All right. That's it for today. Y'all be good.
All right. Peace.